Hey family, namaste guys. Come on into this live. Just sharing this out just now. So, yeah, just takes a minute sometimes for this feed to get out to everybody, for people to start coming on in and checking on in for this live. I am coming to you live from Pensacola, Florida, and I'm kind of snuggled up in my room right now because it's a little bit cold outside, and I was gonna go outside to do this live, but essentially the wind is just kind of going right now. It's a little too chilly, so I'm just in the room hanging out. I thought that I would get on to discuss with you guys some things that are currently happening in the world right now, as many of you might be aware of. Hey Dennis, how's it going? Hey Sangha. Never caught a live before. Awesome. From down under. How's it going? Yeah, it's essentially a crazy time right now. So much is going on that I thought I wanted to check in with everyone and discuss with you guys some of the things that are happening. Ooh, originally from Scotland. Okay. Then this message today might be hitting a little bit closer to home than it's a little too close to comfort for some of the things we're going to talk about today, so to speak. Um, yeah, it's just really cold out. It's just, I have to sit outside with a little blanket, and so it's better to just be kind of cozied up here in the room. But yeah, essentially, I wanted to talk with you guys because there's some crazy stuff going on in the world right now. So much is going on with, you could say, what I've been calling the World War III revelation timelines, essentially. Um, so much playing out on a galactic level, so much playing out on a level of the grids, so much playing out within the forest breeder programs. I find it really interesting that I did that update on the forest breeder programs. Hey, Azek. Yeah, come on in. Check on in. Coming to you live. Komodo Dragon, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I just shared this out on my Facebook. I haven't had a chance to share it out anywhere else, so if anyone can maybe share this out to our community, maybe in the AZIC, I know you have, you're in the Mount Pinnacle group. Maybe you could share this out on Signal for me. I haven't been able to really share this out, but yeah, I wanted to get into with you guys what's going on with the forced breeder programs. It has seemed to intensify. I can just tell you that much. I'm sure a lot of you are probably aware of what's going on in Britain. There are essentially, this has been going on for, I guess, the last 10 years. It's been going on for a decade, but it's just recently kind of blown up, essentially, on social media platforms where a lot of people are now starting to talk about the forced breeder atrocities that are essentially happening over in Great Britain with all of a particular group of young girls, young white girls, essentially, that have been getting gang raped over there by essentially the Black Heart regime, by particular groups that are targeting these young girls to rape them, essentially from the ages of like 10 years old to 25. There's, I guess this is really coming through the immigration and the asylum seekers in the country, that they're kind of hidden, in the towns and the cities all over Great Britain. And what's happening is they've been raping the young girls over there for the last 10 years. Um, and they say there's about 250,000 victims, young girl victims that are essentially, have been raped, have been gang raped. And when we're talking raped, when I kind of tuned into this and was listening to some of the stories and some of the accounts of what's happening, um, it is like very violent rapes. These girls are essentially being groomed, so they're called grooming rape gangs, essentially. So grooming is when they bait them. Grooming is when they follow them, they stalk them, they essentially hunt them. They attempt many times at like very subtle forms of baiting these young girls and these young victims into this type of situation, usually by um, subtle encouragement, and then eventually getting drugs and alcohol involved in those types of situations, and then getting the young girls back to their place where these gangs of the Black Heart regime, by these immigrant asylum seekers, essentially they bait them into these situations, you know um, get them drunk, get them high on drugs and all of these things, and then they essentially are gang raping them. And when I say these stories I've heard, I mean, this is not just one guy raping these girls or a couple guys raping these girls. It is essentially like 20 to 40 to 50 guys at one time raping a young girl, to the point that these girls are, some of them, their wounds and their injuries are so bad that they're having to get like hysterectomies and things like this. And the problem is that when these young girls are reporting it to um, the police are essentially not doing anything about it. They're not going after the rapists. They're not going after the ones that are committing the crimes. They're essentially um, denying these girls of any sort of um they're not like validating their stories. They're not standing up for the girls. They're not helping the girls. They're essentially um shaming them into silence, because essentially um the Willy Wonka of Great Britain is so fearful of these gangs that are in the United Kingdom, that are in Britain, that they're not doing anything about it, because they're fearful of some sort of retribution. They're fearful of being seen as racist, or being seen as Islamophobes, or as being seen as a country that's not like politically multicultural or diverse, essentially. So they're essentially like denying these young girls of any sort of justice, or any persecution of their perpetrator. And so it's absolutely diabolical. It is absolutely one of the most disgusting things that I've ever have. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I've been filtering through a lot of disgusting things that are essentially happening, when it comes to the forced breeder programs, and when it comes to what's been happening to women through these Draco hive mind cults, and through these certain Draco bloodlines on the earth that seem to want to dominate women into sexual wartime slavery, essentially, and take them as slaves, take them as concubines, take them in forced marriages, take them for, whatever they want to do with them because they essentially don't value their lives. They don't value um, anything about them, their beliefs, what they are, who they are, none of these things, right? Like they literally see them as whores. They see them as prostitutes. They see them as, oh, they're asking for it because their bodies are not covered from head to toe. She was walking around with her arms and legs showing, so therefore she wanted to be raped. This is the kind of the like sick ideology that these gang rapers have. They literally see no value or no worth of these young girls' lives. So it's just, it just, even talking about it, it gets my blood boiling just a little bit. I even start to like sweat because my heart just goes out to all of the young girls in Britain and the United Kingdom, all of the cities all across Britain. Like my heart goes out to these young girls and their families for being silenced when they've been victimized so brutally and so just disgracefully. And Jenna says that's terrible. Q plus 2020 should be UK first in their country, America first in our country. When a country cares more about foreigners and illegal foreigners, that country will fall unless something is changed. Yes, absolutely. And I feel like I've been really dancing around speaking about this, even in my updates, with trying to be like more disguised and like talking about, who exactly it is or using words that will kind of like cover up, who or what I'm really speaking about. But it does seem to be one particular black heart hatred cult, essentially, a particular religion, kind, and creed. Um, Within particular sects of a particular religion that are essentially doing these things, right? So yeah, it's really not a good thing at all. It's really, really um, there's an immigration issue that's going on in Europe. Essentially, this has been going on for some time, for the last 10 years. If you guys have been following this story at all, there's actually a guy. His name is Tommy Robinson. And Azek says, "Are you okay?" Yes, I am okay. Thank you for asking. Um, but I've just been sitting with this all day. I've been wanting to get on and do a live about this. I've been wanting to discuss it with you guys. I've been wanting to like bring this information forward because it's been so heavily on my mind and my heart like all day long. And I've been just thinking about it, and I've been, you know, wanting to speak on it. But it's such a sensitive topic. It's such a sensitive issue. There's so much hatred right now that's really rampant amongst the collective. Um, and there's so much devaluing of people's perspective. There's so much religious warfare that's really caught up in this that it's hard to speak about because I feel like here, at least in the United States, anyways, and I know and a lot of other countries as well. I mean, Australia, Europe, Canada, I feel like there's such a level of compassion and tolerance and appreciation for diversity that our culture truly does have. That we are like a very, loving and accepting human collective. But it's just not like that everywhere in the world. It's not like that in every country. There are particular beliefs and religions and ideologies that are extremely harmful, that are extremely rooted in the Antichrist, that are extremely rooted in anti life. And there is no acceptance for other people's beliefs, other people's race, other people's cultures, other people's beliefs. There's no value for it. There's no essentially reverence for their life because they're seen as um, idolaters or the infidels. They're seen as, you know, unworthy of God's love, essentially, by those that feel that they are able to make those eternal judgment calls on God's behalf, essentially, and that they can, you know, claim and rape and behead and hang and slay and martyr and, you know, kill other people because of their beliefs. And so this is essentially what's happening over in Great Britain. This is what's happening in the United Kingdom. There is a massive immigration issue that's going on over there. And a lot of those that are infiltrated with this Draco hive mind force breeder ideology and harmful ideology, harmful mentality, right? Which is to first and foremost, it is to subjugate the women. Um it is to It's like when you say subjugate, it's to basically make a mockery of them. It's basically to humiliate them. It's to not only humiliate the girls and the victims of this rape, but to humiliate their family, to humiliate and shit on their ancestors, to humiliate and defile their fathers and their mothers, and have this be a direct reflection of their Willy Wonka, their government, because over in Britain, like, the government is doing nothing about this, right? Nothing about this. What I find so interesting about this is that it literally took, and this is what's so crazy about it because Elon Musk comes into this whole thing, right? It took Elon Musk to start making this a public issue on his X platform before anybody in the UK would even lift their head up and look at what's going on over there in Great Britain. It literally took him saying something. And I know how everyone, you know, in this higher consciousness spiritual community, like, we're all looking at Elon Musk like, is he a superhero or is he a supervillain? Is he, you know, working on the side of light or is he working on the side of darkness? I've done his chart before, and I do believe he had a lot of like, he had a couple Arcturian placements, and then he even had maybe like some Syrian and some Hydra placements. Um, Even maybe a couple Orion placements. It's really hard to say with him. I feel like it's a little bit of both. I think he's superhero and supervillain. I think he's like playing the duality card here. But you know, there is a part of me that does actually feel good that, like, at least he has the balls to say something about this. At least he, you know, nobody else would do this. Nobody else would do this. I mean, there's one guy, and his name is Tommy Robinson. He's been trying to expose this for the last 10 years. And he has basically recently been put into prison. I think they arrested him in Canada. And if I get anything wrong, you guys, and you know about this, just drop it down in the comments because I don't have like 1,000% of all the facts straight on this, but I just, you know what I know from collecting and gathering things over the last few days. But I do believe that Tommy Robinson was arrested in Canada for, I think they threw him in jail for illegal immigration, or it was something that was so like oxymoron or like cliche because it's like the one thing that he's fighting for. Um, so this guy Tommy Robinson, who's been like an advocate for this, and I think one of the reasons he's been such an advocate is because he has 3 children of his own. 2 of them are young teenage girls. And then also his cousin was actually raped by one of these um, gangs in the UK. And so because that happened to his cousin, it kind of, I guess, sparked his interest in what was occurring, what was happening. And so this Tommy Robinson has been then investigating it. He's been going around and interviewing all of the young girls and all of the victims in Britain. And they have been, you know, sharing their stories with him. A lot of this he's caught, you know, on tape, on footage. He has some documentaries out about this as well, that he's put out, where you can hear a lot of the girls telling these stories. And he's just been exposing this for what it is, and he's been calling to his government, to his representatives, to the officials of the UK, the Labour Party, you know, whoever all those people are over there. And he's been like telling them this is going on, and everybody's just been essentially, um, you know, trying to silence him, trying to um, push all this off and, you know, sweep it up underneath the rug and not let this huge scandal essentially be, you know, brought to the light. It's just, and this has been going on for 10 years. So this guy, Tommy Robinson's been fighting for this for a long time, and they've recently have locked him up in prison. They put him in solitary confinement, which is really crazy because it's a civic crime. He's not even uh, um, like a when they like an offensive crime, like a violent crime. It's just like a civic crime, but they've locked him into solitary confinement. So he has like no place to like go outside or do anything essentially, right? Like he's just like locked in his cell like 21 hours a day. And so I guess Elon Musk, and they've been posting stuff on X. And so Elon Musk found out about this story and what's happened to him and what he's been trying to expose. And he's been, I guess, essentially supporting Tommy Robinson. And so this is how all of this is essentially coming to the light. This is how all this is being exposed. So, yeah. Yes, the darkness from the Eastern cultures are spreading. Yes, it's like a hatred cult virus that's just flowing in from every direction. Elon is a conundrum for sure. He's totally a conundrum. I mean, yeah, he's definitely playing both sides in different ways, right? It's, you know, but I feel like when it comes to this, I'm just really thankful that he kind of stepped up to the plate in a way that a lot of people probably wouldn't ever do, to speak on behalf of young girls getting raped. I mean, like, wow, right? Like the courage to do that. That says a lot, actually, I think, for somebody's morality and somebody's integrity, like to just be like, enough is enough, because they say it's like 250,000 young girl victims that have been raped, and it's not even that. They're saying it's like up to 1,000,000, but just all these girls are not coming forward because they know that the police force isn't going to do anything about it. They've literally been brainwashed. They've been hijacked, essentially. They've been mind controlled and programmed to turn the other way when these things are happening. I mean, I've watched some of these interviews, and they said that the police basically have been trained to go in there and say, well, if you know, if she was consenting, then nothing's wrong, nothing's happened. And these are all girls under the age of, many of them, not all of them, but many of them under the age of 16 years old. I'm telling you, from the ages of 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like this is really kind of what they go after. This is what they prey on. You know, and this is how you know this is a predatory thing. This is this is not consensual. I mean, any girl that's under the age of 16, from the ages of 10 to 16, they're not going to be able to really truly make um I think any form of like sexual consent to these types of acts, right? Like they really don't know what they're doing, and especially if there's drugs and alcohols involved, you know, they could be passed out, blackout drunk, and not even really understand that what's happening, what's occurring, right? So it's sick. It's sad. It's just they're really failing an entire generation of young girls in Great Britain, like literally failing an entire generation. It is completely anti-human. Yeah. It's anti-God. It's anti-Christ. It's just it's just it's it's they're honor rapes, right? I mean, to these gangs, these gang types that are a part of that are being, the Draco hive mind control of the forest breeder programs, like, again, for one, they don't see a young white British girl as anything that's valuable or worthy because she's not also a part of their religion or a part of their cult or a part of their hive. They see these young girls as less than worthy of any sort of value, less than worthy of life. I mean, they're literally trained and brought up to do this. This is why, they're called grooming gangs. They're grooming the girls into these acts. And there's a whole lot of underground investigations that are essentially being ran now that, like, a lot of this word is getting out. There's a lot of, like, I guess, special force units that are out in the UK right now that have been setting up a lot of I don't know what they're called, but like to catch a predator type things where they're like setting up things on social media to try to catch these guys. And so they're like going out and trying to find, you know, all of the perpetrators that are doing this, and I think these are like civilian movements that are doing this, that are trying to catch the predators and then bringing the police to them when they catch them in the act of trying to hook up with a 13-year-old girl or a 14-year-old girl. But yeah, it's really sad, you guys. I mean, this is the extent of the forest breeder program, though. There is no mercy in any of this. You know, this is through essentially the Mohammedan cult. This is the Mohammedan bloodlines that are essentially doing this. And it's so funny because they're trying to essentially paint false narratives by saying it's these Asian groups and this, and that. They're saying all that because they're trying to divert the attention off of who the perpetrators and the predators really actually are. They're trying to give false narratives, and they're trying to give, um, false diversions and false, you know, um, it's interesting. I saw a post earlier where they actually went through and changed all of the Mohammedan perpetrators because they had like lists of each city in Great Britain with all of their faces and all the ones that they've actually have caught. And then so they go in like these people that try to muddy the water and create false narratives and try to divert the attention off of who's really doing it, right? Because they're all a bunch of freaking sickos. And they like repainted him with all these different um, guys that were not really even like a part of it. So they have all of these like campaigns going to divert the truth from what's really happening. So yeah, this is sick. It's diabolical AF. It's disgusting. It should not be tolerated. Um, I really feel that anyone that comes into a country and they're gonna rape, kill, and murder their young girls and their women, they need to go. They need to go. They need to clean it up. They need to get their act together. They need to protect and defend their citizens and their young girls, And then where are the men? Okay? Where are the men? Where are the men? As far as I could see, there was only one guy for the last 10 years that was even trying to bring this to the forefront, which was Tommy Robinson. One guy in 10 years that wanted to stand up? One guy? Where are their fathers? It's sad because their fathers are getting silenced. Their fathers are afraid. They're afraid of the retaliation of these gangs. Right? Because they're violent gangs. They're people that don't have anything to live for. They got nothing to lose. They're unhinged. They're essentially, they're on a specific covert mission that we don't like to talk about, which is this jihadist caliphate, essentially, right? Which I don't think they're really there to start a new life and start a family and buy a home and, become integrated as civilians or citizens of these countries. No, they're there to infiltrate. They are there to embed the Draco hive and slither their way into creating a country within a country through their Sharia law, essentially, and build a parallel um, Willy Wonka system into that system so that way they can slowly start to take over the country, right? So yeah, it is just nutso, you guys, nutso. And this is all a part of the forced breeder programs. Like, it's so crazy that I put this video out talking about that. And then, the next couple days, this whole story like really blows up. Like, we had been hearing things about it. The wheels had been kind of turning, but it wasn't really at the forefront. We didn't really essentially like know the extent of it. And it just kind of blew up over the last few days. So, yes. Yeah. I assure you, regular people are watching for these demons. We are here. Yes, divert from the royals, aristocrats, celebrities, and it's entrenched within many families also. But this is extreme. Let it all unravel. The family is broken. That's where the men are. Yeah, that's what it is. The families are broken and the men are really disempowered. The fathers are disempowered. They don't have the support of the police force that's there. So, I mean, essentially it's like a suicide mission, right? To speak up and fight for your own child that's been gang raped by 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 asylum seekers. Like, what the hell? What the like I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine being raped so brutally at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old that you have to get a hysterectomy and nobody is doing anything about that. I mean, that is absolutely insane. We should not be standing for this on any level. We should be calling out. We should be speaking about this. This is why I'm speaking about it. I mean, I feel like we have to really spread awareness as to what's happening, and I don't feel like we should be so fearful of always being so politically correct, being so fearful of being um, racially and even religiously correct all the time if those things are morally corrupt, right? Morally corrupted, we have to, like, we can't stand for things that are fundamental in death culturalism and killing and raping and savagely abusing um, the European white women in Britain. Like, yeah, that's, I mean, you can feel that, right? Like, it's hard to even say, like, white woman. Like, we can hardly even say that, right? Because there's a fear. There's a fear there that we can't even, like, vouch for, this racial type, like our own like origins, our own culture, our own root, our own ethnic group. We're not even allowed to like speak on that, or else we're being called a bigot, or we're being calling a racist, or we're being called all of these things and Islamophobic or anti-Semitic, or all these like words that stop you from being able to speak to something that is harmful or hurtful. That's also not okay as well. It's like moving all of these shields and barriers for just being honest, justful, truthful, righteous. Like, who cares? I feel like on some level, we have to kind of throw that out the window a little bit and just kind of like speak to the facts as best that you can, show love and care and kindness for all beings and all reverence for all life. But I mean, if there is a threat, a harmful threat against your life and, for the young women in this case of Britain, like we have to speak to it. We have to call it out. We can't be scared. We can't be ashamed to like come forward with sharing the information and like standing for things that are just morally corrupt and just not okay. right? Where is their military? The problem is what I'm seeing is that they're complicit with the crimes. This is what the problem is. The police force over in Great Britain knew and knows that these were going on. This is all going on. They knew about this. They just didn't do nothing about it. Um, their Labor Party knew about these things. They just did nothing about it. They were all complicit in it. And what I find so strange, and this is one of the things that Tommy Robinson was pointing out in one of his documentaries, was he caught some of these officials receiving money from some of these gangs, like handing money envelopes and stuff. Like, I guess they followed some of these guys, some of these politicians around. So, in some way or another, they're complicit with the crimes. They're complicit. They're either like in bed with these gangs, or they are, they're receiving their orders from somewhere to make sure that these things are actually happening. Like they're involved in the crimes. They're in bed with the crimes. So there no doubt about it. Like the shit has hit the fan in Great Britain and all these corrupted politicians are about to be exposed. They are all about to be exposed. One of the head of the hydras in Great Britain, like that has just got chopped. Like the whole world is gonna hold them accountable to this now. The whole world, no doubt about it. The whole world will have an eye on them. They'll be watching them like a hawk. They're probably gonna have to open up like a whole public global investigation um, to really, get to the bottom of this. Oh, thank you, Susu. I am hardly an inspiration. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I don't even. I'm gonna cry right now. I'm hardly an inspiration. I feel like, yeah, I'm such one small voice right now. Like, there's so much more that I can be doing. There's so much more than that everyone else could be doing at this time for these things. Like, this is just not okay. This is not okay. I mean, I have a 16-year-old daughter myself, and I mean, she's a very good girl. She's a good girl. Like, we don't have boys here around the house, nothing. Like, she, stays inside. She has her hobbies. She has her things that she does, and there's no thought on her mind even to like be out in the streets or to be calling boys or doing any of it's not even on her mind. There's still very much like an innocence in her that it's just so I just can't even imagine if it was like a 10-year-old girl or like a 13-year-old girl. Like it's just unfathomable. And when you listen to some of these victims of these crimes, like it seems like they weren't even really aware of what had happened for the longest time, and then it's like recollection of all of the memories, and then it's like then it's going and trying to get help and then being denied the help and then realizing that the police are involved in it, and then so they're being denied any form of justice or healing or like anything, right? And then they're realizing, then it's like dawning on them, like, oh, this is a racial crime. These are racial hate crimes. These are religious racial hate crimes. They are being targeted. This really takes us to look a lot deeper, I think, at who these predatory rapists are, the fundamentalism and the ideology of their beliefs. What truly is it at the core? It's coveted and immorality. Um, I went through, I'm not kidding you. If you want these things, I could email them to you or whatever, but I went through the Holy Quran. Okay, and I've gone through and I've pulled all of these verses, right, that are speaking directly to the core of the ideology, the core of the belief. And because like, I'm someone who will give every religious text, like, my own authentic evaluation about how I feel about that energetically, spiritually. I just won't poo-poo on something just because someone else has a bad opinion about it, or just because someone else says this isn't good or this is bad or whatever. Like, I won't do that. I'll read something, and if someone says this book's the most horrible book in the world, I'll read it and decide for myself what I think. And so I've done the same thing with the Quran. Like, I've looked through the book. I've tried my best with this book to try to find, like, the good, to try to find, and I did find some things in it that I liked. There are a few things. But I couldn't help but feel like the entire time I'm going through it that something just does not feel right. Like, something, like, I kept finding too many verses where there was very straightforward, cut and dry, like, implications of kill, slay, harm, cut off their heads, murder the infidels, murder Christians and Jews, treat them like dogs, all of this, like, really harmful, 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 harmful stuff. And so I've battled with this. I've battled with it because, um, yeah, it's just it's too it at the core of it, there's too much hatred. Like, the fundamentalism of the energy was hatred, and it's so interesting because so many people are like, "Oh, you're taking this out of context. You have to read it in its context." Well, when I pull it into context, it's even worse. It's even worse because it's like, you can see, like, the overall ideology is just implying, like, the implications of it, or is just implying to Muslims itself, to Islam itself, and the believers of this. Like, the whole way it's framed is that everything else is wrong and this is only right. You're only right if you're only this. There is no, like, there is nothing in it that's love and acceptance for, like, all people, all of humanity, all of humankind, all of creation. There's no tolerance. Like, tolerance and compassion are not the qualities of that book. Okay? And so, um when I'm looking at that, okay, and then I'm looking at, like, who are the gang rapers? It's mostly Pakistani men, Islamic men, okay? And at the core of these beliefs, it's saying to take their women and rape them if they are unbelievers. These are specific surahs. And so that's you can see why they're doing this stuff. You can see why. I mean, this is coming straight from their own prophet. It's coming from their prophet. It's like with Christed consciousness, right? With Jesus, all these things, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, Jim Montgomery, thank you. Thank you for helping me down in the chat. I was going off on a rant there. Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna have to have my back on this one, you guys. Um, it's not gonna be pleasant. Um, but yeah, and don't get me wrong, it is present in all holy books. Yeah, this is in all holy books. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Um, but it's not sitting right with me when you think about, who's behind these predatory crimes, and a lot of this is at the fundamentalism of these beliefs. It's there's too much justification for it. There's too much justification for what it is they're doing. There's no recognition. Um, and a lot of that ideology is from, like, 7th century Arabia. So it doesn't fit with modern day times. It doesn't fit with modern day civilization. It doesn't fit with democracy or the free world, right? So you have this 7th century ideology. You have this 7th century mindset, and it's essentially, it's just not compatible. It's conflicting. And you can see how it's conflicting within the forced breeder programs of things that's happening within their own countries, like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Syria, all these things, right? All of their women are entirely veiled, and there's forced repercussions for these women if they don't want to wear that. There are severe punishment and crime. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that some Muslim women like want to be veiled. They want to be covered. They want to honor this, right? Um, and we all have free choice. We all have free will. And if that's what somebody wants to do, then by all means. But there are a lot of women that don't want to, and yet they're being forcibly punished. So, yeah. And yeah, guys, don't get any like arguments over here in the chat. Like, let's keep it like super, um, let's try not to let our emotions overtake us here with this conversation. I definitely don't want this to be like a hateful conversation, and I don't want to stir up any hate with, to, or for, or towards people because, you know, like, I know it goes that there's like moderation, I guess you could say, in each religion. There's like different groups, and some are more extremist than others in these groups, right? Um, but the problem that's being imposed is, how are we supposed to weed out the difference of where the extremists truly lie and where they don't? Right? This is the problem. This is the problem, is it's not like you can say there's some sort of immigration checklist, like, are you an extremist? You know, you know, it's there's no weeding out. There's no vetting this out. There's no there's no essentially process that goes into protection around this. So it creates quite the conundrum for safety and security for these nations, that's for sure. It's a hard thing to talk about, you guys. That's just what this is, a hard thing to talk about. It's hard. It's like opening up the vault to Orion. And I had been telling you guys, like, back when we were doing the Germany grid work, like, the vault to Orion was opening on the Earth, right? The vault of Orion, like, this is what's in it. It's all of the ugliness of humanity and all of the stuff we don't want to have to look at, all of the stuff we don't want to have to face, all of the stuff that I mean, we've essentially been turning our back on humanity for a long time. I'll be honest with you. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of actually standing for things that could bring big changes, right? Because for one, we're really not allowed to. We're really not allowed to. I mean, free speech is not free speech. Everything is censored. Everything is severely censored. YouTube is censored. Facebook is censored. Instagram is censored. TikTok is censored. And TikTok's a joke. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, TikTok is a joke. All of the agendas that China wants to push on us, all of the agendas that even Israel and the Zionists and the Mossad, all of these groups that want to push agendas on us, right? They are purposely, I think they're grooming the TikTokers. I'll be honest with you. And I think every ideology that they want to program the youth with is what they let fly on TikTok, and everything else they censor. TikTok is the most censored platform. Nothing of truth can get through TikTok unless it's an approved narrative for the youth. That's basically what's happening. Aren't there rules given upon entry to any country? They know it's illegal in many countries. They can only get away with it because people within the country lets them. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I was listening to some of these asylum seekers, and they were like, they're supposed to give an oath. They're actually supposed to take an oath when they receive their like immigration. And one of them was saying that they don't force them to repeat those oaths. And so the asylum seeker said, "Well, I didn't say it. So that was their fault for not making me say the oath." So they're not actually forcing I mean, they shouldn't have to force them, but I mean, I don't really know what the immigration, naturalization process looks like over in Britain, but here in the United States, I believe they have to take, like, a very in-depth, like, test of, like, the United States history, and I think they do have to, say, like, some sort of, verbal oath, to the country type of thing. So if they're not enforcing that over in Britain and they feel like they're not actually taking those oaths, then they don't feel like they have any loyalty to the country. They can do whatever they want anyways. I mean, that's kind of what's happening happening. Oh, thank you, Gail. So true about TikTok. Yeah, it's TikTok's a nightmare. TikTok is I'm so fed up with that. I'm so fed up with TikTok. I'm still on TikTok, but my account's almost banned. I have a lot of warnings. I think I've probably set off I violated their community policies multiple times, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't shut my TikTok down very soon. Yeah, and I'm sorry I'm talking about this, you guys, in the way that I am. Like, I don't know how else to talk about these things, because it's like I have these personal, feelings about it, and I'm trying to follow, what's happening according to like the religion, according to the narratives, according to the politics, according to the policies, according to this, according to that. And do I get everything right within it? No, definitely not. And am I able to see the full picture of everything? No, I definitely can't. Like, I don't even think my brain is big enough to see the full picture. It's so hard because I think, and this is the problem with advocacy. This is the problem with speaking about things that are not okay. Because if you open your mouth and you say, gang rapes in Britain on young white girls is not okay, okay, I've just shot out an arrow. Well, guess what happens? You have another 1,000 arrows around your head that you can't see that are going to come and shoot back at you. That's basically what happens when anybody tries to speak up or speak out about something. So it's very hard to stand entirely in your morality and integrity and come forth and speak on things that you don't feel are okay or right. If you see problems that are happening, like you're basically walking into the snake's pit, right? To just get, like, devoured with poison, and, you don't intentionally want to start any sort of drama, you don't intentionally want to start hatred, but where does it start? Where does it begin? With being like, "No, this isn't okay. We don't tolerate this. We don't allow rape and killing and murder of our young girls." Just because they're walking out on the street and their body isn't entirely cloaked doesn't mean that they're whores and they want to be raped. It doesn't mean that it's okay for you to rape them. It's no, 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 no. Like, this is completely not okay, and we have to speak to it. We have to, like, bring it into the light. This is all the shadow that's coming into the light. This is all the stuff that is coming out of that vault of Orion. There's so much hidden darkness that's coming to the surface. I mean, as you guys know, we're about to have a regime change here in the United States on January 20th. And I personally feel like, and this is my personal opinion, that it's gonna really start draining the swamp. There's gonna be even more. I think that's only gonna continue to increase in intensity. So much more is gonna continue to be exposed from the Biden regime and all of this and that, right? Like, I've never, even the whole time that Biden's had his time in office, I've never felt like shame on you before until recently. Like, I'm at this point where I'm just like, shame on Biden. Like, shame on them, shame on their administration, shame on everything that they're doing. They're complicit in these crimes as well. They're complicit with everything. Why isn't that Biden has spoken up about all these supposed um, types that have come into the country, right? Why are they not speaking to the protest, the violent protest? Why are they not speaking to the uprise of all of the hatred and tension that's going on in the United States grids right now? All of the demonstration of warfare that's happening in our streets, all of the demonstration, right, of this. Why are they not speaking? You know, why are they not trying to neutralize the collective? Why are they not trying to harmonize? Why are they not trying to speak to the issues and say, oh, we're working on this, or oh, no, because they don't care. They're complicit with everything. They're complicit with the crimes. They're in bed with it. They're funding. The United States is funding the what's that group? The not Al Qaeda, but there's another one. Missy says because he likes to smell children's hair. Because it's an agenda. Yes, they are perpetuating it. We have ATL and Alexander that are going at it here in the comments. You guys have got to tone it down and just don't attack each other. Don't attack each other because we're all technically on the same team here. We're all, we all care very much. All of these topics and issues are very sensitive to our nature. We're all beings of light and we're getting pummeled with all of this darkness. We're being asked to have to like sift through it and process it and make our own perception of it. And we're actually being challenged to try to find our own balance and morality and integrity through it, which is difficult. We're all having, you know, to go through this process. So we really have to support each other with helping us stay balanced, helping us find a way to process all this information because it is a lot of overload. It is a lot of getting hit with things. We're getting smacked in the face with things. Like, what? I mean, we're getting all kinds of just like stuff that is atrocious. It's diabolical beyond what we've normally had to process and fathom. Like, I think in the past we've processed things in a way where it's like, oh, it's over there, or oh, this has gone on in the past, or oh, it's coming from these groups or those groups, where we can look at things but we're not really feel like so energetically or emotionally like we still have something that's shielding us. And I feel like a lot of our shields have been kind of penetrated with a lot of what's going on because the chaos in the world, the uprising on every front, every dimension, you know, every race, every religion, every nationality, every country, I mean, is actively involved in some sort of war at this time. You know, so it's just coming from so many angles. So we just have to take a breath, take a breather, and just know that we're all trying to make sense of all of this. Yeah, we have to stay strong. We really do. We have to support each other. Don't let each other fall. He says he's worked with a lot of charities that help place kids and hide them, so I deeply know about this issue. Yeah, it's just it's yeah, it's just so present, right? It's just so relevant. It's just so active and current in these timelines. It's so um I mean, I think we can really relate to it like with our own children, our own daughters, our own sisters, our own mothers. 250,000 victims in Great Britain. I mean, that's a lot of young girls that their voices are being suppressed. These victims are being treated like they're the perpetrators. The victims aren't being told. This is really what's happening in war. It doesn't matter where you sit. There's no compassion for you. This is what's happening on all sides, whether you're the victim or the victimizer. There's no compassion for you. There's going to be someone there to attack you no matter what. That's kind of like what this war is bringing up and through. And I think we have to maybe direct our attention to those that are more innocent, those that are more vulnerable, like especially when it comes to these young girls, like these are more innocent, more vulnerable part of our community, a part of humanity, and we have to protect the young girls. We have to protect our women too. I mean, like I said earlier, like where are the men in Great Britain like rising up and like they should be they mean the men and the women should be coming out, the parents of these children, all 250,000 of them, all million of these female victims' families, they should be coming out. They should be protesting. They should be demanding this from their government. They should be demanding this from their police force. And they should be demanding the justice to come forward and not let their reptilian Willy Wonka get away with, because it's gonna bring forth more scandals. Um, Yeah, the global elite are gonna get exposed on a much bigger level. I mean, you think about why is King Charles staying so silent on this? You know what I mean? We gotta ask ourselves that question. He seems to be, even in the face of these rapes coming forward the way they are, he's um seems like he's still vouching for um the Islamic community. He's still vouching for the cultural diversity. He's still vouching for, um, you know, I guess the Pakistani groups and stuff. He's still like he's not really speaking to the issues. It seems like he's still like supporting the problem. And so yeah, I think he needs to come forward and they all need to be held accountable. They all need to be speaking from their deepest grievance and their deepest compassion for the victims. They need to be standing on their higher moral ground. They need to stand with conviction. Um, are these not God fearing men? Are these not godly men? Are these not godly rulers and leaders? You know, they're exposing how reptilian they truly are, how diabolical they truly are. They can't even come out and speak to these issues or stand up for their failing systems. ATL says a lot of men step up, you just don't hear about it. Yeah, and I'm sure that's probably true, but yeah, we don't hear about the men standing up. We don't. Um, we need to hear more about this so that way we can support them too. That way we can get behind the men when they're, making their movements, when they're, out there fighting for the injustices. We need to like hear more about these things and like so that way we can be supportive. Yeah, the victims, the levels that are damaged, physical, psychological, spiritual, they want to rip them from themselves. Those victims are so strong, such lights. They have to be so strong to be coming forward right now. They have to be so strong to be telling their stories, because by doing that, they're getting a lot of hatred that comes back to them. They're getting a lot of angry people like, "Oh, why did you have to put yourself in that situation? Why did you have to get raped? You deserve to get raped. You deserved this. You deserved that," right? They get all this like nasty hatred that just starts getting hurled at them, right? And they have to be able to like hold their presence, take those hits and hold their shields and still say, "No, this is still my truth. No, this happened. And this is who did it. This is what did it. And this is why I believe this happened." And I mean, they have to be able to stand strong when the whole world is throwing arrows at them and doubting them and making them feel like they're less than nothing because they got raped. You know, and then this takes us into the problem of the imbalance and polarity and the perception of what is the woman's place truly supposed to be, because the the Middle Eastern world believes that the woman should be entirely covered. She shouldn't be seen in public. She shouldn't be heard. She should technically be a second class citizen. She should definitely submit to the man, and she shouldn't have a voice, and she should just bear the children and be told what she can do, where she can go, have her male guardian, do all this, and that. In the Western world, we have the women that are just on all spectrums over here. You know, you have the conservative women, the religious women, but then and just, you know, women with that do have values and morals and principles. They're not dressing like whores. They're not putting themselves in situations where these things could happen, you know. But then you do have, you know, the Hollywood world and the rap world and, you know, certain cultures over here in the United States where women are like twerking and like basically wearing nothing and like, you know, and then so you can see like some of the immorality and the corrosion around this. And it's just like, it feels like we're dancing on such polarities of the scale that it's hard to find, you know, where's the middle ground? Where's the truth? What's, you know, what's truly right? What's truly wrong? What's truly acceptable? What's truly not? And because you do have women that may be more um free in their expression of their sexuality, does that mean that they're deserving of rape? You know, I don't personally think so. I think there's still definitely a level of consent, but the Middle Eastern world, you know, they don't see it that way. They see, "Oh, she's acting that way. She's taking off her clothes. Oh, she's asking for it. She deserves it." I do not think that's the case at all with the victims in Great Britain. I don't, you know, it's not like I have a personal lens into each one of these situations to see what was that girl doing on the streets, how was she acting, how was she behaving, what was she wearing, this, and that, was she deserving of this situation? I don't think that any woman is deserving of rape, no matter what. Non-consensual, you know, if there's no consent, that's rape. So I don't think there's anything these women could do. I think this is the false narratives and the demonic belief systems that run behind um, where these types are coming from, right? And their perceptions over this. You know, it's punishment, it's condemnation, it's subjugation, it's cruelty, it's brutality. They're trying to punish the Western world by raping the girls. This is a message. This is a threat on a bigger level. This is something that people need to see. It's not just about raping. This is they're letting you know. We don't have respect for your kind. We don't have respect for your culture. We don't have respect for your country. We don't have respect for your families. We don't have value of your life. We don't give a shit what you think or say. We're going to take your women and we're going to do what we want with them. That's the mindset that they're coming with. It's just it's not okay. Yeah, Sanga says Tommy Robinson is standing up for it and he's been punished. Yeah, that's exactly right. Tommy Robinson was placed in solitary confinement because he was bringing most of this information to the surface. He made a couple of documentaries. He's been all over social media trying to expose it. And so the Labor Party essentially threw him in jail because they didn't want his voice to be heard. They don't like him. They know that he has a lot more information on them. I mean, he dug up a lot of dirt on these people. Like I said, he's caught some of these politicians, like, in financial exchanges with some of these gang groups, and he's exposing them. They don't want him to speak. They know if he speaks and comes forward that they're gonna have a lot more trouble on their hands. My father is a wonderful man. He travels the world to help those in need. That's amazing. Help the children. I mean, I'm almost tempted. I think there's supposed to be a million women's march going on in Britain in March. I'm so tempted to buy a plane ticket and go there for that. I'm so tempted. Yeah, keep an eye out for that, you guys. The Million Women's March. There's a couple of Facebook pages that are out for that right now, but I don't think they're like promoting it. It's like it's kind of hush hush almost. I think it's gonna be going on like March 8th. But there's gonna be like a big protest where all the women are gonna come together. And I mean, yeah, I do kind of want to go and do that, but at the same time, I'm like, what is the safety situation gonna look like for going there and doing something like that? Yes, suppression of the divine feminine, absolutely. This is absolutely the mindset. Yeah, guys, it's real crazy, right? Um, it's definitely it's hard to talk about. Again, it's hard to be politically correct speaking about this. It's hard to, I'm holding it together over here. I could just be like screaming or like yelling and being angry, and which I feel like my righteous rage would be righteous, like to be that way, to be like showing anger. But you know um I think we just don't have entirely enough information yet, right? Like, so many things are, like, still coming out, so much is revealing itself. I do think that there's gonna be some major changes that are gonna happen and occur, especially over the next few months. Like, I think we're gonna see, like, major changes. I think we're gonna seeing, these political leaders and religious leaders being held more accountable to speak to these things. So I think just a lot is going to keep continuing to come forward. I think the biggest thing for me is that these rape victims get the emotional, psychological, physical, and spiritual healing that they need from what has happened to them, and that you know, um, safety is increased, security is increased, that the police force stops denying these crimes and holds the gang rapers accountable to their crimes, that like they literally step up and do their freaking jobs and protect these young girls and these young women and stop with the BS. Stop uh SRAing these young girls. Stop satanically, ritually offering them over to these types and, do what's right, you know, um, and protect them. And I hope that they can get like the counseling. They're going to need counseling. They're going to need spiritual healing. They're going to, I mean, this is something that, I mean, could you imagine if you were raped by 20 to 30 to 40 men, like gross men? These are gross men. These are like how haunting that would be for the rest of your life. Like this is something that they'll need healing on for the rest of their lives. It's they're traumatized literally for the rest of their lives. So, yeah, there needs to be healing. There needs to be a lot of compassion for what has happened. And there needs to be people that come forward to bring forth healing for this. I want to say that if you know any families or young girls living in the United Kingdom, like tell these girls right now, stay out of the streets. Don't go in the streets. Don't go in the streets by yourself. Don't go out at night. Don't go into risky areas in the city in which you know these things have happened or you've heard of these things happening, or maybe you're aware where some of these gangs or asylum seekers are living. Put the word out to tell your families, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, because we all know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's in the UK. You know what I mean? So, like, put the word out, tell these girls, don't be out in the streets. Now is not the time to be doing anything crazy. Like, now is the time to, like, focus on your hobbies, focus on your studies. Don't be out in dangerous areas and parts of the city or the town. Don't be out by yourself. Make sure you're going out in groups. Drop it down in the comments if you have any suggestions for, what girls should be doing to avoid these situations. But, um, don't drink and party with people you don't know and you're not I mean, you shouldn't be doing that anyways, right? Don't even do that anyways, but especially don't put yourself in a situation where you're doing that with somebody that you don't know, you're unfamiliar with. That's a really bad situation, right? Um, yeah, and for the UK and what's there, don't dress in ways that would attract that kind of attention to you. Dress more modestly. You don't have to go and, like, buy a burqa or a hijab or anything, but don't dress in a way that you are gonna call that kind of attention, because right now it's a crime. It's a crime scene, right? So, you don't wanna call attention to yourself when you know there's, like, murderers and rapists in the streets. You don't wanna call any kind of attention to yourself. You wanna just kind of lay low and stay with people that you love, know, and trust. If you have to go out and do something, just stay safe. Just stay safe, right? Yeah, sadly, many might lose aspects of themselves in this lifetime due to such trauma. I mean, that's the kind of trauma that your soul gets fragmented, essentially. You get fragmented right at the root chakra. I mean, that's your soul separates from the body to essentially deal with that level of trauma. That's a massive trauma. A lot of, like, soul healing, soul rescue, soul reintegration, forgiveness of the self, like, so much, right? To deal with rape, like, to deal with, I mean, many of us women have had experiences in our life where we've had to face these types of situations. Um, I think what the girls over there are dealing with, though, it's a whole other level of rape. Like, I'm telling you guys, this isn't just rape like one guy, two guy, three guy, four guy. I mean, these are like 20 guy rapes. These are like 30, 40, 50 guys raping one girl at one time. Some of them are like violent rapings where it's like it is a violent thing. And then some of them are the grooming tactics where they're slowly grooming them into the situation, making the girls feel like they can trust them and can do these things with them. And it's like multiple encounters that they're groomed into the situation. So the girls don't even realize that maybe they're doing something wrong or bad. And this is just them preying on their naivety, preying on their innocence, preying on their curiosity, preying on every aspect of their spirit and their soul in which they can prey on, again, because they don't see them as valuable or worthy. Again, these are not to get the chats going up in a crazy way again, but these are religious and racial rapes. Yeah, hey, Inner Alchemy. Don't drink the punch. Yes, it's frustrating. We have to talk this way, but this is the way the world is currently, and we need to be smart about it, not to cause fear, but awareness. So many of my significant others have also went through this. It's so common, very sad. I can only hope that the girls and women have higher selves that are protecting them somehow. My heart. Yeah, a lot of women have gone through these kinds of situations. A lot of women have been raped. A lot of women have been raped. A lot of women that I work with in session work have dealt with it on one level or another, whether it's like the abuser is someone in their family. A lot of times it's someone in the family, father, brother, cousin type of thing. A lot of times, I honestly think the most common rape for women that I've noticed is like date rape situations. I think those are more common than just like outright aggressive rapes where like a woman's just like thrown to the ground and like it's like a violent type of thing, but it's more so or less that women get drugged, and then that type of situation happens. And then a lot of women that get raped like that, they don't come forward when that happens because there's a level of shame, there's a level of guilt, there's a level of fear. Like, I did something to deserve this. I did something to bring this on myself. So I can't talk about it. Like, I'm not a victim. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, um, I think it does require a level of accountability for some of your actions, but it just really depends. Every situation is it's really different, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you were violated for most of them, that they were violated in a way that was not consensual, and that is the classification for rape. It's not consensual. And for them to say that these young girls were consensual in some way, this is where they get them with the grooming, right? Because they groomed them into consent. This is manipulation. This is actually this is a whole nother level of mental mind fuckery that they're doing. Like, this is where and how they're getting them. I think a lot of these girls is through manipulation to make them think that they've consented. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of the UK police officers have thrown these cases out the window, is because they're being told that the girl consented. But is there still not charges for minor for minor? That's the thing. Like, someone look up what is the UK laws for consensual sex. Like, I would think it would at least be like 16 or 18 or something like that. So why are they not still following through with persecuting them for like statutory rape, right? That's what it's called, statutory. Missy Hill says, if a girl is a child, it's not consensual. Yes. That's the thing. If they're a child, they cannot make the decision. They cannot do that. So yeah, they should be prosecuting them. Ashra Healing and Wellness says, it's crazy how embarrassed we have been to feel to speak about it. Yeah. It's a very embarrassing, shameful thing, isn't it? We shouldn't be ashamed about it, though. I mean, no, normalize what's not normal, right? I think everything that we're hearing right now, it's pushing us to have to talk about things that we're not used to talking about. I'm not used to talking about this. I'm not used to just like openly sharing it with people, but what can we do? I mean, this is what we're being faced with, and we have to learn to talk about it. We have to learn to bring this stuff forward, to bring awareness, and to help the victims of these situations and scenarios. So one thing I would like to do is put together a healing for rape victims. So I'm gonna be doing that probably on my Patreon. I think I'll probably do it on Tuesday, this Tuesday. If anyone wants to join me, they can join me for that on my Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel. Um, if you're not on my Patreon and you would like to join me for this rape healing, and well, we're definitely gonna approach it in like a much more like compassionate kind of way. Like I don't even like saying the word rape. It just makes me feel like yucky. There will be like a gentleness in our approach. There will be like a vulnerable, I think, approach with this. Just bringing in a lot of higher energies, a lot of like um, mother healing energies, feminine healing energies. Yeah, working with the frequencies of mercy, working with the frequencies of grace and compassion, um, and really just settling in with our sensitivities around all of this, and just bringing in lots of love. Yeah, like Gobstopper 9 says, holding space, right? And I think we'll definitely do like a tribute to the rape victims over in the Great Britain. So we'll include them in with this healing. So if you want to join me, you can always email me at indigo. Actually, email me at my other email, info@indigoangel222.com, and just let me know if you would like to attend that healing. And I'll just like get you a Zoom link. But yeah, I'm gonna do that on Tuesday, and I'll probably do it live so that way everyone can come. But if you would like to attend the healing, like if you would like to contribute to it, like if you would like to bring in your own prayer, your own words, your own meditation, if you would like to bring something in for it, I would love to have you. I'm just looking for people who want to like step up and like contribute something. Um, it's gonna be probably in the morning. 11 a.m. CST on Tuesday because I have other things I have to do on Tuesday. So it's going to be early. But if you'd like to join, just email at info@indigoangel222.com and I'll get you a Zoom link. And then just let me know what you would like to bring to it. And I'll just like write it down so I'll know what you're coming in with. But yeah, I think it would be really good for us to do like a grid healing, a grid clearing over in Great Britain, and just clear the energy over there of the Draco hive, the predatorial forced breeder harmful programs and ideologies that are running, um, the war and divide and conquer energies that are running, the fall of Atlantis codes that are running. This was another thing, you guys. I got a download yesterday where I seen like all the fall of Atlantis codes were running. And I seen that it was running into the Bermuda Triangle, that the Bermuda Triangle over the last year has opened, like as if there's a giant black hole wormhole system that's running through the Bermuda Triangle. And Earth sign says from timeline. Maybe explain that more from timeline. In terms of the World War III revelation timelines, I seen like all these fall of Atlantis codes were running, and then I seen it was running down into the Bermuda Triangle, that the wormhole itself had expanded. I seen that the J seals themselves, I always seen them as seals before, but now I've seen them as like small wormhole systems, like as if the seals have been removed and they've started to function as funneling reversal wormhole systems, and that it's all running down the 70-degree west vertical ley line there on the East Coast. And then I seen that superimposed into my body, and that the wormhole systems were running on my 7th tonal line. Even though I've had my J seals removed and I've done this removal multiple times, I still seen somehow it was also running, like it got like reactivated in the body, and that the seals themselves turned into reversal patterning wormholes that were actually funneling, like funnel systems. Like they're turned on and they're funneling and they're just pulling from each one of our energy bodies, harvesting out of the light body, harvesting to the greater J seal wormhole system on the East Coast, and then that was pulling it down into the Bermuda Triangle. And I seen this because I seen the parallel timelines of Miami, that they were breaking off. Okay, that Miami itself was breaking off. The parallel reality, 3D parallel of Miami, was actually breaking off and was starting to fall and collapse into the Bermuda Triangle itself. And that it was like pulling the whole fabric of the timelines. It was pulling the whole fabric of reality, the parallel timelines. And the parallel was important because the parallel is where all of the potentials were existing. The parallel was where all of the simultaneous potential timelines could occur and begin to play out. That itself was being stripped and funneled down into the Bermuda. So it's like it's slowly and systematically collapsing down our potential timelines in the 3D and pulling them into the black hole system. So I need to do a little bit more deep diving on that, and I'll probably put down or put out a cosmic grid update. Yeah, Brian says we live in a finite system, so seals are reoccurring. Yeah, they do reoccur, and they do activate according to the Armageddon timelines. They do reactivate. I think more particularly around this time of year, I think there's like a yearly cyclical thing when we get close to the metagalactic core. When we get closer to that, we've already passed through, I think, the winter solstice, which is where we're kind of at the height of the energy. But I really feel that it's like amplified all the way through March. You know, this is where we have a lot of the like war codes that start to run. And then according to some of the grid remote viewing that we had done, I think with Missy we were noticing it was JSEAL 3, JSEAL 4, and JSEAL 7 were actively running on the horizontal ley lines there. So I think that was the pale horse and the black horse, but I have to recheck that. But those ones would be maybe pulling harder than the other seals, like as if those ones were more active. And those are the death seals. And what do we see rampant right now? We see death culturalism, death harmful ideology, just so much, right? Reversal patterning running. So it's really tugging on the collective fabric of time. You know, it's really pulling and vacuuming at all of the places where there's rips and tears. And there's a ton of rips and tears all over the space-time continuum. They're trying to dark flower and Metatronic reversal. Yes, exactly. Yes. And when you say dark flower, it's almost like a pollination. It's almost like a seeding. It's almost like an implanting. The Hadron Collider causing rips and tears. Yeah, definitely. CERN. Well, and we do know that the Vatican just opened up the last door. Was it yesterday? When did they open up the last door for their ritual? I think that was yesterday. And we know that that was connected to the tombs, the Lucifer's tombs. And what was so, I think I've told you guys this, but what was so interesting about that is when they opened up the main door on Christmas Eve, the guys were not even human, right? The guys that opened the door at the Vatican didn't have any ears. And that was really, really strange. So, yeah, there was some sort of, demonic, archontic deception going on with that, with who was actually opening those gates. I really think there are a lot of underworld dwellers, and they're gatekeepers for those doors. They're gatekeepers to war. They're gatekeepers to the double-faced man and Janus. They're gatekeepers to Saturn. They're gatekeepers to the Temple of Apollyon. And all of those gates and frames and lenses are controlling the lenses of the collective. They're controlling the lenses of those who carry the J seals. They're controlling the Draco hive, right? Everything that came through the Jesuits, everything that came through the banking and the black nobility lines and the financial institutions and the Swiss Guard and the yeah, I'm just like feel like I'm running down the Archangel Michael ley line just as I'm saying that, all the way to Israel. Other people, other facilitators that try to talk about the Draco tech, and no, they didn't take your course because I took it and I can tell it's not genuine. Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that's bound to happen. Like, I know people do that. They like rip off of other people's stuff. And I'm really just not even like sweating it. Like, honestly, like, I'm not. I got other things to do. I got other fish to fry. But thank you for keeping me in the loop. I'm sure that's happening, and it's up for interpretation. It is up for interpretation. I mean, many people can perceive it in a lot of different ways. I mean, for me, what I put together was my version of that, what I seen when I remote viewed that. Um, and what I seen was a lot of artificial Draco machinery up in between, like, the stratosphere, like, beyond the firmament was where they were implanting a lot of the beast machinery tech for the Draco system. It was like artificial machines that were blocking us from the metagalactic core, a lot of time alteration implants and distortion. Thank you, Inner Alchemy. Thank you for looking out for me. I really appreciate that so much. Um, as long as I mean, all of my diagrams do have my copyright on them, so hopefully nobody's like trying to like, you know, do something like, steal my work and publish it type stuff. I don't think they would have to get my copyright like imprint off my picture. So I haven't put anything out that doesn't have that on there. Um but yeah, it's really connected to a lot of the Nazis, and a lot of the esoteric symbolism in which was taken and distorted through them, like the swastika wheel, the black sun wheel, the Thule symbols, the Vril symbols. Um, a lot of the persecution wounds that come through the Draco symbolism are like the yellow badges for the Holocaust. Um, the black cube is a Draco implant. Please be careful with this topic. It will drain you severely. Take rest from it and regain yourself. The Draco topic or the topic of what's going on over in Great Britain? Because that topic drains me more because my emotions are more invested, like very heavily, because I have so much compassion for the victims. Um, but yeah, I feel really called to speak out in whatever way I can to help, to use my voice, to use my platform, and to share the information. And I hope everyone else feels called to do that on some level as well. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable enough in speaking up about something, definitely don't do anything that you feel like is going to, subjugate you to some sort of spiritual attack. But I think if you can speak to it, you should, and you should let people, help share awareness around the issues. It's so important, because who do these girls really have, looking out for them? Obviously, it's not Britain. It's not the United Kingdom. It's not the Willy Wonka over there. It's not the Reptilian League of Doom over there. It's not the Predators. It's Tommy Robinson and Elon Musk. Tommy Robinson and Elon Musk is who they got right now. So I think women need to speak up, and they need to vouch for the girls. And again, this is why I want to do the healing for the rape victims that we're gonna do on Tuesday. So yeah, we're just gonna send them lots of love, lots of light, lots of compassion. You know, maybe pull in some Lemurian temple healing, some temple etheric light, really work within the astral and the auric layers, of the grids. Try to release any Draco hives or any Draco underground nests that are just filled with Draco reptilians, and try to expel them from the grids, essentially, or extract them from the grids, relocate them, um, pull them out of, harm's way type of thing, safeguard the area, recode the geometries into the direction of life versus all this anti-life, anti-Christ energy that's circulating over there. Just see, how we can help on an energetic level. So yeah, I feel like you guys are shielding me now. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Brian. Thank you. Have an amazing night. Thank you, Gobstopper. Thank you, Ashley. So yeah, but the Draco seals, going back to that, I think the Vatican seal, that's a big one with the Draco seal. The Vatican seal, right? And that would be good to release out of the UK and the Britain grids. I've never done like a Vatican seal release over there. It might be a good thing to do, is to kind of um, detangle any energetic pathways or passageways that would be connected to that seal, that are connected to the Lucifer's tomb and to that ritual that was done from the Vatican. What's interesting about the Vatican seal is it very much harnesses into our reproductive system. So they work to dismantle us from the fourth dimensional field, to dismantle and also implant blockages to the unborn, into the unborn children. So it's a whole system that's running there with that one, that it's really detrimental to um, what could be connected to behind energetically within the rape energy that's circulating there within all of that. So yeah, that would be a good thing to extract and remove from those grids, if we can work on that part as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in with me tonight. Put a like on this video, just help me out speaking to these difficult subject matters. And yeah, I'll look forward to doing this healing with you guys on Tuesday, and I'll be working on a cosmic grid update when it comes to the Bermuda Triangle as well, and putting this more together so that way everyone can kind of see more of what I'm talking about according to the grids. So I love you all so much, and I hope that you have an amazing evening. And yeah, again, email me at info@indigoangel222.com if you'd like to do this clearing with me. And have a beautiful everything, guys. Namaste.